back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today I am joined by Susie Novak of Susie Novak Interiors. Susie was working for a sculptor in San Francisco when she decided to transition into interior design. And in 2016, she received her certification from the Interior Design and Architecture program at UC Berkeley. Her aesthetic is a combination of California modern with a British flair. Her work has been nationally and internationally recognized in Architectural Digest, Elle Decor, Modern Luxury Silicon Valley, Wall Street Journal, and more. Today, Susie is here to share her observations and benefits of how working with her mastermind group of interior designers has helped her in her business journey, to share how she incorporates sustainability into her design, some great tips on working with a team, balancing work-family life, and all of the things that tend to bubble up around these conversations. So I'm excited to share this conversation with you. Hey, Susie, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So, Susie, I am looking forward to this conversation because in your intake form, you went into a discussion about how important this mastermind community you've created with yourself, and I'm not sure I'm quite clear if they're all interior designers, but this very diverse group of people, both background in ethnicity, but also in their background and how they come to interior design. And you just listed for me so many interesting ways that you've grown through this group. And I thought, I want to talk to her about that.
Awesome. I love my mastermind group.
How long have you guys been getting together?
I think it's been like 4 or 5 years or so. It was definitely pre-pandemic. We were kind of all like moving along together like before the pandemic hit. So it was about 5 years ago.
Wow. And is it formally structured, or is it like, hey, we're all going to get together for coffee or lunch or cocktails or breakfast, or is it a formal structure? Talk to us a little bit about, maybe it's first tell me, how did it form? Because these are so valuable.
Yeah. So I went to UC Berkeley Extension's Interior Design and Architecture program, which is an incredible program for anyone interested in switching careers. UC Berkeley and UCLA have the same program. And I met a good friend now who's we started this group together, Kelly Finley of Joy Street Design, and we met in class. She was sitting behind me. She asked to borrow my pen, and I was like, I don't know, this is a really good pen. I don't know if I want to loan it to you. So I reluctantly let her use it, and fortunately she gave it back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we've just been like great friends ever since. And we were just kind of at the same place in our lives. We both have young girls. We both lived close to each other. And we were both really serious about like starting these interior design careers. And it was originally her idea to start this mastermind group, and I was fully on board, and we started it together. We just like started calling our friends, and it was casual, but Kelly's really on it, and she was the one with the agenda in terms of creating like an actual mastermind group with an agenda.
It doesn't surprise me. Oh my God. So what's so funny is, as I asked you the question, I thought to myself, oh, I should have asked her off air who was in this group in case I know any of them. And I was thinking, Kelly is up in that area. I wonder. And I was like, LuAnn, you started the show. Just keep rolling.
Yeah.
And here you come out with Kelly. And, it's funny because Kelly and I don't know how we first crossed paths, but we did, and she made an impression on me. And then in Atlanta, we had a chance to talk again, and then that was where it was cemented for me. And I just was always, every conversation, so impressed by her. From what you said, when you said, like, she's the one who had the organizational thing, had the drive to, make it a thing. That doesn't surprise me because every conversation I've had with her, she's always revealed some tidbit that, in my brain, I say, that's a smart lady. Like that just, that's an interesting, that's not by accident. And I love when things happen by accident. And I love that when we have our own ahas by accident. But I also always just have a little extra impression when I have even just a 10-minute conversation with somebody and there's something that they say that stands out to me, and that happens with Kelly all the time. And so I think it's really incredible, but not at all surprising is my point. So
absolutely,
that's
She's
awesome. Okay. And so you guys do this and you start to call around to some colleagues and so forth. And now these 4 or 5 years later, is it like the second Tuesday of every month we do this, or is it loosey-goosey, but you all never let it get too far out of what is the structure?
Yeah, the structure has changed over time. In the beginning, it was kind of like, let's meet up at a restaurant and like go through some like mastermind questions. And then it became more formal. We were meeting at each other's houses and taking like 2 hours of like, what are the highs? What are the lows of your last month? Like what's going well, what's working, what's not? What are these solutions that you have in mind? And since the pandemic, we've all gotten so busy that we really don't have time to kind of like meet up for 2 hours. So we are using Slack, and I've just leaned heavily into Slack actually in my office and also in this group, and we're constantly pinging each other about all kinds of stuff, and it's awesome.
I love it. I just love it. And it also, it's funny because you're going to talk about today some of the great value that you've got in being in this mastermind group. But now I'm also probably, look, that's probably why Kelly has always impressed me, because she's, part of this opportunity to always up level yourself by having good conversations. And the thing about what I guess the next thing I want to know before we get to your lessons is in the structure of it. Is there 5 people in it, 10 people in it? Is there like, if you don't contribute, you're out? Or is it just this group of people that are just, sometimes you give more, sometimes you get more, but the rhythm and the trust is there? How are you guys structuring this?
So it started out, we were casting a wider net in the beginning and kind of bringing people in, and not everyone we brought in was really committed to like taking their career seriously. And what gelled and what the people who stuck around and the glue was formed with all of us who were like, yeah, I like really want to do this. I'm going to create a website. I'm going to go out there and get some clients. And I want to hustle. So that is the group that really stuck together. And
how many of you are there at that point?
And I think there's 6 of us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love it. It's like the cream rises, right? It's like the people who really came to it for more than social interaction and are willing to do the hard work together, stay around to do the hard work together. And the truth of it is it probably doesn't feel nearly as hard when you are together figuring it out, right?
No, I mean, I think I started out going for the free wine and the snacks, but I needed something to do. So I kept working away. And I have to say, like, without this group, I don't think I would have gotten to the place that I'm at. They're just, I'm a hard worker, but they have led the way in kind of showing me new possibilities and taking my career to a place that I didn't really know I was going to take it to.
And when you guys all came together in the beginning, you and Kelly, you were in design school at that point. Was it an undergrad or an MBA? I wasn't clear on that. Like, were you all kind of at the same place, or some people were out and starting businesses, or none of you had a business yet?
I think I had started taking on clients, and I think Kelly did too in true form. We were probably both like working two jobs and like starting families and in school at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a night program and you can kind of phase it, at your own pace a little bit. And it's basically designed for like working adults. And I was working part-time for an artist. My background is in art, so I was working for a sculptor in San Francisco at the time while taking classes, and then had finished kind of like my own home project and basically started taking on like a client or here and there to get going.
Wow. So
Yeah.
the both of you, your lives are sort of mirroring each other. You have a night school program happening. You have day jobs. You have kids, I'm assuming spouses, and clients on the side.
I mean, how else would you do
it? No wonder you were showing up for the wine and the cheese. Something's got to get us through this. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. And you know what? That makes more sense now. The people who stayed, even with full plates like this, are people like yourself and Kelly who are driven to come out and do, create the business that you intended by going to the night school opportunity to begin with. Like, right? Like, This is why you did this. Okay. So you mentioned in there, that it has been beneficial, that you would have been good. You would have succeeded. You're a driven person, but there's just some extra rub in that comes with being a part of a group like this. So I got to imagine one of those elements is accountability. Can you describe to us how accountability might have played either in a personal way to you on a particular situation, or one of the colleagues, or in general?
Yeah, I think that committing to doing something and taking something on that's new, and interior design was really new for me. I mean, I think even before school, I didn't really understand what it was as a career, or that it was possible. And it's funny now, and I think it's an indication of the industry. Like, now there's so many people on projects in terms of like, project managers, designers, like contractors, and structural people. And, projects take like a whole team. People used to kind of just hire a contractor. But so kind of like going into this like very new category for me, and realizing like how important it was and how I felt like I could really succeed in it. It just clicked for me right away. And I think continuing with that, and I guess there always has been, I've had to kind of like prove to myself and be accountable to myself that I could, really be a creative entrepreneur and, do it in the right way. There was just always something where I felt like I needed to succeed.
Okay. I mean, and so coming to this, were there moments when you felt like it was time to do something or make a change in your business, and being part of this group either informed that decision and made you understand maybe roadblocks that you hadn't considered? Or were there times when you might have found yourself resisting growing in a certain way, and the group was the catalyst for pushing you towards growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that, doing school and then starting a family and a business, I've had a lot of internal conflict about, how I define myself as a mother and a working mom. And with being an interior designer, like your business is domesticity. We're creating these beautiful spaces for families to live their lives. And although I had a working mom growing up and I'm used to my parents both working, and that was kind of the community that I lived in, I always kind of felt guilty about like and I still struggle with this, how much time I should be spending with my kids. Am I, being there enough for them? Is working, a lot, really showing them, what does it all mean? I kind of have that internal conflict. But more recently, I feel like I've gotten to a place where I'm, as you said on a recent podcast, I'm like reveling in my success a little bit, and at a place where I'm feeling proud of where I'm at, and that makes me feel more at peace in terms of how I present myself as a mom. And watching this group in tandem doing the same thing, also having kids, keeping their careers like moving forward, was just always really powerful to me. And I don't think I really would have necessarily like done it this way without them. They were kind of like leading by example in tandem as contemporaries. And it was, and I never, like watching them, I never felt like they were compromising on their families, So sometimes it's easier to watch someone else do it than you just, living a normal life and feeling guilty about it during the day. So yeah, I owe so much of it to them. I think they really got me through that, that period where I was kind of like overthinking and overanalyzing kind of how much I was working or how little I was working or how much spending time with the kids and blah, blah, blah. And that whole like juggling act that, we all do. So yeah.
Well, so that's really pretty key right there. So what you're saying is that there was a time when in one moment you could look at some of the others in the group and totally, without any prejudice, recognize that they were succeeding at being business owners and being parents. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, wondering if you were doing that, if you feeling like you weren't. And then it sounded like almost there was a point when you were thinking, hey, wait, I'm doing it too. And it's because you could see it in them that you were able to see the truth in you as opposed to the story you were telling yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough because, you run into so many people or your parents or, as a working mom, and people are kind of judging like how busy you are or not. And, oh, why are you working so much now? You're supposed to work when your kids are at a certain age or in a certain class or whatever. And I mean, my parents always worked, and in some ways, like if you're working while they're really little, they're actually not really remembering it, know, and everyone's kind of like off during the day doing whatever. I mean, I don't know that I really want to be at the park all day.
Right.
So
Amen.
As I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing I definitely don't want to be at the park all day. So,
just pushing the swing for 90 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you want to grab a ball, you want to play a game, you're a little older, let's do it. But
and then do you get a gold badge at the end of the day?
Exactly.
No, you get a big like sink of dirty dishes. That's what you get.
But let me ask you a question about that, because you said, people are judging you how much you are working or not working. And you think, well, my parents worked and I was fine, but people are out there doing that. Are there, though, people out there doing that?
Wait, what do you mean? People are doing
well,
what?
I wrote it. You said it. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah.
So this is the only reason I'm stopping here, Susie, and going back to it, because I think we all have this tendency to tell stories to ourselves, whether it's about our parenting, about our business, about how we show up as, a friend or a colleague, that like you literally, and you'll go and listen to it because we're not going to edit it out. You're going to go back and listen to it, and you just very casually, as if it was a fact of life. Yes, there was a time when, I just feel like, there are people, there are always people are judging how much you are working. And, just thinking about that, and I would say to myself, my parents worked, and, and then I start to realize, well, during the day, what's really happening anyway? We're kind of all going our certain ways. And I like one line in there, and the thing is, you could have had people. You might have said to me, my mother used to say to me, why are you working so much? You have kids. Or my mother-in-law said it to me. But I'm curious, did anybody say it to you, or did you just wonder it and feel it?
My dad made a comment like, "Oh, I've always thought you were too busy." And
Okay.
I was kind of like, I don't know how to not be too busy.
Yes.
Like I'm
Yes.
like Susie Busy Novak, like that's my middle name. So I don't like that is just like my personality. So um and yeah, and then I did actually have like a really good friend of mine. He kind of did make that comment where it was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this now. You should be doing that later." But I was like,
Okay.
"How does that work? You can't just like pick up the phone and like start a career like
Right.
whenever?"
Right.
So, I mean, is there choice in it always? Or I mean, to me, I thought it was about like working and momentum and not having to catch up but I don't know.
Okay. So
So,
I'm glad I asked you, because there were people that said that to you in one way or another, implied or said that to you.
yeah.
And the thing is, I think you've come across to the other side, and you've learned it's your life, your children, and you can do it the way you want, and you will be a better, I believe you're a better parent if you are living a better life inside your brain,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Right? If
Yep.
you're sitting around saying, okay, dad and this other really good friend of mine think I should be a stay at home mom. Well, I'm sorry. Like, you're not going to be that much fun at the park. I got news for you. Your kids aren't going to like it. It's like I say to my Bella, she's my granddaughter, Mom, let's play hide and seek. I'm like, Bells, Mom doesn't do hide and seek. Let's do something else. Get the trampoline out. Let's get the Play-Doh out. Like, I don't do hide and seek. It's not going to be fun, Bella, I tell her. It's not going to be fun. I'm going to pick the
Exactly.
same spot. I'm going to hide in it every time until you find me.
Boundaries.
Right? Okay, so I went into it a little bit because I know that a lot of people struggle with this, right? We
Yeah.
all did at some point, all of us. I don't think we're immune from it, but I'm on the other side of it, and I am way past it. And it's funny because um, my daughter on her podcast interviewed me. It's just going back a couple months. I can put the links in the show notes. And it was so funny because if there was anybody that was at risk for their kid thinking, thanks so much for that great childhood that you weren't there for, right? But the thing was, I was there. I worked always. I went back to work when she was 4 weeks old. I'm like, that's this. I am bored out of my mind. Okay. And had a nanny by the time she was 6 weeks old. And that was
Yeah.
that. But it made it so that when I came home at 6 o'clock at night, I was 100% present on her, because I
Yeah.
was like, at that point, okay, the heck with all these customers. Let's see my baby. And it made that Saturdays were like me and her. Let's go do this and let's go do that. And to me, I was living best life in one moment, fulfilled, creative, striving, building a business, and best moment in the other. And if somebody had said to me, well, you got to stay chained here to this, kitchen in this house until she's on her feet, neither one of us would have been on our feet. We would have
Yeah.
both been lunatics,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think you find balance in unique ways, and like this exact calculation of like how much you work and how much time you spend with the kids is not really like balance, the core of balance. I mean, to me, it's just as you said, like quality of time with your kid. You're there in the evening, you're around, they see you around, you're with them on the weekends. Um, I also think it's really just made me a better person. I think that I have like a more balanced point of view
Mm.
on life in general. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm prioritizing my family much more than I did when I didn't have kids and I didn't have all these things going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It like my time with them is more important to me.
Right. And you
So
come to it excited. and joyful, as opposed to,
Yes.
oh my God, I have to go to the
Yes.
park.
Exactly.
It's like I get to go to the park, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's
Yeah.
completely different. And I'm glad that you came through that. And I'm so glad that your colleagues in the mastermind group were able to be that little mirror for you, that you
Yeah.
could first see that other people were doing it and it was going well. And then you could look back and say, oh my goodness, so am I. Instead of, because you don't want, to me, you need to just deal with it.
Yeah.
There's people listening now that love being a stay-at-home parent and are listening to the show because eventually they're going to build a business afterwards.
Yep.
Do you? If you're waking up every day and you are in your joy, yay, yay,
Yeah.
yay, yay. But, this like having these shoulds put upon us by other people, when people like you and I know that our should is I should get up and create something in my business, because then I should come home and be super happy to be there. You know what I mean? It's like,
Absolutely.
I'll figure out my shoulds. Thank you. You stay in your
Yeah.
lane, right? Okay. So I love that, and I love that you get that support and that it's ongoing with the. Is it all women, or is it men and women in the group?
It's all women, yeah, and but it's a diverse group. Kelly's Black, and a few of the girls are Asian American, and so it's a really great mix of people from different backgrounds, and just like working women, and it's just really inspiring.
I
Yeah.
love it, because you need all the voices in your head. You need to hear all the things from all different perspectives. And you can't do that if every place you go and every table you sit at, everybody looks like you, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll have like really heated conversations about like, oh, did you see this panel? And like, it's completely lacking in diversity, and they'll turn around and contact the person who put the panel together and the people on the panel, and they made a change. It was amazing.
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think the thing is that so many people are just not thinking about it, and that's not okay.
No.
It's but they brought it up, and it's awesome. And I love these conversations. I think they're so valuable and exciting, and yeah.
And I love it at both levels. I love it when I see diversity in all the things that are high profile, right? That whoever is the one, whether it's me or it's somebody else that has the opportunity and has the ability to say something about it, does, okay? But I also love it at your level. That's what I think is, if you are open and understanding and sitting at a table in your real regular life with all different types of personalities and ethnicities, then you don't have to be reminded when you put a panel together to have other people at the table, because that's just who your group is. It's all the peoples, right? So I think that's awesome that you are a nice mix of not only business backgrounds and personal backgrounds as, just humans, right? But also ethnicities and so forth. So awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, you mentioned how when you first started, you were also doing the home polish thing and working for $20 an hour. So tell me about learning lessons from that experience. And there has to be something in there about understanding your value of what you bring to a project. I got to believe it.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I really didn't understand much about decorating and interior design when I first kind of like endeavored upon it. Then my husband and I bought a fixer-upper in Oakland, and that was a project we did together. And so I learned a lot, of course, from doing my own project. And then I saw the value in going to school. I started taking on client friends, and that's where they were like, how much? And I was like, I don't know, like $20 an hour, like, so.
I'll either do this or I'll work at the grocery store.
Basically. But I was like, I don't know, this is so cool. Like, I shouldn't charge too much. And pretty quickly, I have to say, I saw, obviously I'm doing skilled work, I'm doing CAD, and it's a lot. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and that what we do, there's so much value in terms of like helping people create a beautiful home, helping people make decisions, like so much schlepping around, and just like they're hiring us for our eye, and we have like actual technical skills that we went to school for in terms of drafting and rendering and all these things. But I was like super eager to build a portfolio, and I just wanted to get out there and, get a portfolio together. So I was doing these projects for like $20 an hour. And then I started getting more clients, through this online platform called Home Polish, which is not around anymore. But it was really a great opportunity. They had like a beautiful Instagram and website, and really marketed like interior design to like a wider audience. And it was all about like affordable interior design by the hour. And they sold these hourly packages, and they were billing us out at $150 an hour or something like that. But they were taking a really big cut because they had like a whole office in New York and a whole team and everything like that. At the time, it was really great for me. I learned, I learned a lot in terms of navigating new clients that were outside of my own network and casting kind of like that wider net. And I learned about like working within their systems. But, I also learned kind of what it meant for like someone to take like this huge portion out of, my hourly. And once I was really kind of like gained a couple portfolio pieces and a lot of experience, I was like, well, how do I grow? I can't grow with like, if you're taking like 50% of what I'm making, like I'm barely, paying you, there's expenses involved, right? So how do I get an office? How do I get an assistant? Like, how do I move this, thing forward? So, being as an entrepreneur, you really have to be mindful of, basically like, I don't know. People are always trying to sell you stuff, and there's different marketing opportunities or endeavors or coaches or, advertising or, whatever, all of these like project management softwares and whatnot. And a lot of it's really great. I love all these coaches that I've worked with and everything, and they're invaluable. But, sometimes real stuff is kind of like, it's kind of like the, music managers that like Elvis Presley used to work for. They just take you're the creative, and you're just like singing and dancing and, for the audience, and they're just like taking all your money, So you really have to be savvy, right? And with who you work with and for.
And so I would think probably one of the biggest benefits, if maybe, there's probably, look, you're what's the word I want? You're honing your chops when you're working, and you're not hunting down. You're not having to do the marketing. So somebody is filling a pipeline for you. That's literally to me the one advantage of doing a thing like Home Polish, which, as we've mentioned, is no longer around. But beyond that, like, it's what you said. They're billing you at $150. You're getting what, 20 of it? You were getting $20 an hour of the $150.
I was getting. I started out. I think the first couple projects I did very much on my own. I was getting $20 an hour. Okay. With Home Polish, I was getting more like 75. It wasn't like and they were marketing. They had like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're doing the marketing, so that's like the advantage. But beyond that, other than the ability to have a big company behind you, get some chops, get some projects under your belt, maybe they're giving some support and process their systems or whatever. But it seems to me the biggest advantage is, I actually are completing projects that people are paying $150 an hour for. I can do this.
Yeah.
and charge the whole $150 and put that all in my bank. Right?
Yes, exactly. It just gets to a point where it kind of doesn't make sense anymore. But It was certainly a great platform at the moment for a lot of us, and launched a lot of, other designers that,
Mm-hmm.
launched a lot of our careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
like I said, I can see there's a lane of benefits. There's no question. You're brand new in business. You're trying to figure out how to, manage a project efficiently, and you have the marketing taken off your plate. It's just like, okay, you probably
yep,
put your name up in the queue. Oh, I'm getting ready to close this one out. I can take another one, put my name up on the queue again.
yeah,
Whereas when now running your own business, you're consistently churning that. Like, okay, we've
hmm,
got this going on, but where are we getting the next one from, right?
exactly, exactly.
And I do want to touch on the fact that you run a pretty good team now. You run a pretty big size team. I think I saw 6 or 7 people
I
on the
know.
website. This is, no small feat here, Susie,
That's what people
managing a
keep
team
telling
at
me.
this
Oh my
large.
God.
So here's the thing. I just heard you with a little stress in that that's what people keep telling me. So I'm going to add it with, and congratulations to you. And it's not pressure. It's take another moment to look at yourself and say, whoa, I'm doing this. Right?
Yeah.
Like I am a person out here who is managing a big team. So talk to me about that. What are some key someone else out there is listening to you. They've got 2 or 3 people on their team. They're thinking they've got dreams of having a team of 7 or 8. And what are you saying? This is my favorite thing about it. This is one of the things I enjoy about it. And these are the couple of things that are a little challenging, but I get over it.
Yeah, I think that I originally saw myself as kind of having this smaller team where it was just kind of like me being the creative and 2 other, maybe another designer and like an admin person kind of thing, and just like keeping it small. But then I'm in this group with all these boss women, and they just told me to level up. My friend told me to level up. That's what she said. So I had to get my own office. And I like, I have to say, like, having this scale of team is really nice because people can sort of, their roles are more defined, in terms of like designer, admin, and we can really siphon people, like 1 or 2 designers, like on specific projects, and then a designer can take a vacation, or I can take a vacation, and someone's project is going to keep running.
Mm.
3 people is actually more challenging. I thought it would be easier, but it's not. There's still a lot of pressure on you as the principal, and if that one person like takes time off, and you're kind of just all like running it. You do have to have the projects in order to like bring people on. There's got to be the money and the revenue coming in. So when I've had like bigger projects, I'll onboard like a new team member to assist with that. And so, yeah, the business has got to be coming in, but I would say like just kind of do it in tandem and be optimistic that it kind of just keeps growing. Like you get smaller projects, and then you get medium-sized projects, and then you get big medium projects, and it kind of keeps going. So the projects are always going to keep coming. I mean, the second I started doing interior design, people were like, oh yeah, so actually my living room, it's just not done, and I just need a few things. And it's just like there's people always need help. And so yeah, I say go for it. And I'm happier with like this scale of team than I was with the smaller scale. Yeah.
I love the perspective on that, is that I do know from many conversations that there are designers that have that, like you said, one design assistant, whatever the word is called, junior, senior design assistant, whatever they call them, and then an admin, right? And then
Yeah.
obviously you've got your extended team, your bookkeeper possibly, and your CPA and so forth. But the core team every day is the 3 people. And there are many designers that I've spoken to that are in that sweet spot for them, that it works, it hums, they're happy. But there are many that are in that spot that are challenged, that the balls are still dropping, And the reaction sometimes is, oh my goodness, if I had 2 or 3 more people, this would be even more difficult. And it's encouraging and interesting for you to explain the reasons why that's not necessarily true. And I love that you've got some, definition in the roles, and it's like it's you carry the ball to here, then someone else will carry the ball from there to the next spot. The challenge is, and you said it, is you got to keep the business coming in. So my question to you with that, Susie, is tell us, 1 or 2 ways. I mean, does your phone just ring now? And there had to be a time when you were at a moment, whether you were with 7 people on the team or 4 people on the team, and you were looking and you thought, okay, as we finish this project up, I really don't have anything of significance in the pipeline. What do you do in that moment? Do you have any ideas or advice for designers that are in that position now and they're thinking, I've got 3 or 4 mouths to feed here and I don't really have it on the horizon? How do you go drum up business?
Yeah, that's definitely, can still be nerve-wracking. I have reached out to my designer community, my group, and then also other designers. I was doing that in the beginning, just if other people were like overly busy. Again, like there's so much power in having a group. Like we're all stronger together, especially as women, especially as creatives. Like get a group, stick together, create a network, and you will be better. So I've reached out to them to get referrals. And then, of course, at this point, like we have a pretty nice referral base that I've gotten over time, whether it's through people just finding us online or Instagram, or, designers like personal network, whatever. Like we're getting a fair amount of inquiries. But I am kind of like thinking, what if I go out and like ask for things, like post on Instagram, like, hey, we're looking for this scale of project, or like post kind of like a wider audience. That's something I kind of want to do next, just to like really attract like the specific project that I'm looking for, like at the moment. But yeah, look to your networks. We're stronger together.
I love it. And so right now you are currently attracting some business through Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm looking at your Instagram. You have 2,200 followers.
Yeah.
I love that. Because do you know how many
not...
people think they're listening to you and you said, oh, Instagram, they're probably thinking, oh, she probably has like 40,000 followers. Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you are getting stranger inquiries from Instagram that are converting into clients.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten, like, not a ton, but yeah, I've gotten some stranger inquiries. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I love it. It's possible. There's the unicorn right there, folks. Okay. I mean, this is the thing. It's like people say to me all the time, should I do Instagram? And I'm like, yes, if you're going to do it well. No, if you're going to phone it in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to tell you? Should I run a marathon? Not if you're going to crawl the whole way. Your knees will be bloody. Like, do it if you want to do it, but do it well. And if you have 2,200 followers, but you're doing it well, it will give you some conversion, period.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, to your point, it's not, a ton, but it's in relation to the number of followers. And so I love this. So, and interesting that you said the first thing that came to your mind was to go to your colleagues, to your design colleagues. And so what does that look like? Yeah. You'll actually just reach out, and I hear that you don't necessarily have to do it now, but in the beginning, you would just call Kelly and say to you, like, or do you have 2 more clients and you don't need? Can I have one? Like, how did you do this?
Yeah, I'll call Kelly. I always call Kelly. I asked my other friends in that group. I've reached out to. I have a couple other designer buddies who were like in business for much longer than me. And, it's, just like, those are kind of like those smaller projects. They just don't have the capacity to take on at the moment. Or they're just not the right fit or not quite in their area. So I've gotten a few through them.
I love it.
And yeah, absolutely. No, just ask around. I mean, sometimes people are just too strapped and they just can't take on another project, So,
And what's
um,
so funny is I'm hearing in my head somebody listening thinking, oh, wouldn't that be weird to let somebody know that I don't have enough business right now? Right. But I think what you're talking about
yeah,
is these are people you already really know and trust.
yeah,
Right.
no,
We're not
yeah,
asking, we're not dialing in the yellow pages for designers and saying, do you have extra business that you can't get to?
right. Absolutely.
Okay. And I do know that there is a value in, even when we are friends, we could be good friends and our businesses could be at different levels. So maybe one of you only does full house renovations, but the other one of you loves to do, one-off rooms. I remember Ruthie Stolson was on the
Yes.
show, and full service luxury designer, but she actually, and I'll see Ruthie at High Point coming up. I wonder if she still does it, but I remember Ruthie saying on the show that she would do, and she had it some cute name. It wasn't designer for a day. It was, I don't know, some cute name. It's just going back 5 years ago. But the idea was, we've all been into somebody's house, whether it's our family, our parents' house or our friend's house, where you're just like, everything in here is nice, but it's all in the wrong spot. Right?
Yeah.
The sofa's in the wrong spot. The pictures are hung up at the ceiling practically.
Oh
You know what I
God.
mean? Like all the weird
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Exactly.
And it's just, if you just would go away for 2 hours, I would make this room look better. And so she would have that service where somebody could say, like, I remember her describing it. You could say, well, I want my living room, my dining room, and my family room. I'm going to call it zhuzhed because I don't remember what the service was. And so once they were a client and the deal was signed and she would go over for the thing, she would walk through the whole house and she would basically, the person would identify for her, no, that lamp must stay in this room. But anything that she could move around anywhere in the house to get the 2 or 3 rooms that she was hired to zhuzh better, she could do it. And I remember her saying that at one point, one of her friends, colleagues said, why do you do that? Like, you're a full service. And she said, because I love doing it. Right?
Oh,
She
I
just
love that.
loves going in and like in one day. She's not sourcing. She's not, measuring.
Yes.
She's not floor planning. She's no stock delays. There's no pipeline problems.
100%.
She enjoys taking somebody's stuff and making it just fit better. And so, that's a thing. Like, that's a referral. Like, you could look at that and say, I'm never going to do that. Like, that would make my teeth crawl, right? Like, do teeth crawl? I don't know. That would make my skin crawl, right? So, oh my goodness. Okay, so that's good. I like that. I love that a lot. It's so good. And then the final little thing about our conversation is this sustainability, because I've been having this conversation a lot on the show recently, and we're doing High Point Markets panels about it and all the things, and Vegas market panels about it. It's a thing. And so how is it present itself in your business, Susie? What does it mean for you, and why is it important?
Yeah, I mean, sustainability is just, it's undeniable. We are all a part of making the future of the earth a better place. And I think it's really like a key reason why people hire a designer. Like, kind of the definition of sustainability is just something that kind of maintains and sticks around, and people are investing in our services to invest in their space, so they're not going to be changing things. I mean, I have clients who I did furniture for, like 11 years ago, like friends at the beginning of my career, and or 8 or something years ago, I don't know. Anyway, they still have their stuff and they've moved houses, and so we know what's best for them. We get them really great pieces and it will stay with them. So, here in California, we're totally on, the forefront of sustainability. And I'm always like reading up on new products and everything like that. And I mean, it's really just about, buying things you love, buying the right pieces, and good quality. And then, of course, looking into where things are made. Like we're always talking to our clients about buying larger pieces of furniture, that are made in California. And that's most of our upholstery for clients. We buy, within state or, at least in the US, like from North Carolina. And yeah, everyone wants durable. So we're looking at kind of performance fabrics and rugs that are sustainable, like wools and nylons. And a lot of our clients ask about it, and we bring it up in our own philosophies, like made in the U.S., like when and where we can, kind of thing. So and people are interested.
And do you, I mean, that's like you said, California's at the forefront of it. Do you think that it's more commonly happening there where clients are readily asking and talking about it? Like, do you have conversations with clients that are maybe from, the East Coast or in the South or wherever, where it's not as prevalent yet? Or do you think it's really starting to get all around and everybody's talking about it?
I mean, I think everyone's talking about it. I think it comes up a lot in California, just with like we have like fires and water issues, and we sort of have to talk about it. And so like fire retardants are a thing, and then just locally, I noticed kind of like the news about like the supply chain issues and like the Port of LA and all these like mega ships that are coming in, and they're just like parked outside of the Port of LA coming from China and overseas, and the stress that puts on the supply chain and the people that are working in the supply chain. It all factors into sustainability. So if we can reduce stress on that and actually support our local furniture makers and educating our clients on where furniture comes from, and that actual people are making furniture and those are real jobs, and we can, support manufacturing in the U.S. by buying locally. So yeah, we think about it locally in that regard a lot, but I think that, it's everyone's thinking about it, and I'm loving the technology I'm seeing in different fabrics, like inside out, and, Start Carpet I use a lot. They do rugs with like recycled materials, and they just like have a lot of really great wool and nylon options that are super durable and super stain resistant. And my kids can spill red paint all over them, which has happened, and it gets cleaned up.
Wow.
And that's great, but it's also sustainable. So
wow.
Yeah, it's such a jigsaw puzzle, like what we do as designers, like putting all of these things together, like the budget, sustainability, it's got to be beautiful, it's got to be built to last. Like it's a lot of stuff. Like
yes.
There's so much value in what we do. So anyway, yeah.
Believe me, I know. I'm trying to convince you guys for 6 years. I'm not going to give up, though. No, it's awesome. And the thing is, you said a line in there about, buying quality pieces that are built to last. If you can put a beautiful room together and you can also explain the value from their perspective and the global perspective of using higher quality pieces that are built to last and that eventually don't go in the dumpster but will be reupholstered in 8 or 10 years when you change your design, that is a win-win on the client's part. It's a win-win on the global, us as global citizens and taking care of the earth. But, not for nothing, it's kind of a win-win on your profitability, because you're going to make more money if you sell them a $10,000 sofa than if you sell them a $1,000 one from Bob's Big Boy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I'm all about the win-win.
Yeah. I mean, it's the movement is built in to support profitability in a designer's business is what I'm saying. And I know that's not the leading reason to do it, but it's, not lost on me that it's there.
Yeah. No, it is a win-win. It's all of those things. You're supporting U.S. manufacturing, you're supporting your business, and you're selling your client a good product that you can believe in and that's going to hold up to the test of time, and it's sustainable. So, I mean, it truly is like a win-win-win.
Yeah, I love it. Well, You are a heck of a smart lady there. I just have to say. I enjoyed the conversation, Susie. I really did. We didn't get too much into your business structure, but I loved this focusing on this core group of colleagues that you have, that you started from when you were all in school, and that, these 4 or 5 years later, that you're still supporting each other, and that how much magic comes from that. And, it's important. And I left a lot of the conversation there because, we are literally always in a position to do this, whether we're looking around at the people that we went to school with, or if we didn't go to school, we're looking at people that we met at a panel discussion at Dallas Market or Atlanta or High Point or Vegas. It's just making that move. And Kelly did, let's make a group. Let's do this, right? And you're like, okay, I'm in. It takes both. It takes the one to have the courage to say it and the other one to say, okay.
Exactly.
So I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Susie.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you so much.
I love that Susie and Kelly formed their own mastermind group. Here you have this great group of diverse women helping and supporting each other and just trying to get through being working women and mothers. Susie learned so much, not only from the valuable conversations that they would have each month, but also by observing her fellow designers and understanding that they were in the same boat as her, as a working mother and a new designer. By being in this mastermind group, it allowed her to see from the outside looking in at the other successful working moms and recognize that she's doing that too. And that was a good thing. She could stop believing what her inside voice was saying and see the truth that she also was successful and balancing things in the way that was right for her. Because your balance is your balance. No one can tell you what you should be doing. You figure out your should. Do you, and what works best for you. Because what works best for one might not work for another. That's the whole point of doing you, right? Now, as far as knowing your value, I love that part of the conversation as well. And we've had several shows on this over the years, and a couple of What Would Lou Do episodes in particular, where I talk about the feeling of being undervalued and also when clients don't understand the value of full service design. So if you're looking for more conversations about that topic, go to the show notes. We will put the links there. Now, while today Susie has a strong team of 7, in the beginning, Susie would straight up ask Kelly, other friends, or women in her mastermind group for referrals for any work that maybe wasn't a right fit for them. You'd be surprised that sometimes people do want to get rid of certain projects or not take projects on at a certain time. I love this. Why not ask? Just ask. It doesn't hurt anybody to ask. And I love Susie's belief that we are stronger together. Love that. Opportunities are everywhere to ask colleagues or fellow designers, vendors, whoever it might be, anyone you look up to get together, to learn from each other, and to listen to each other's different perspectives and stories. You should take advantage of it. Look for those opportunities where you can get them, okay? All righty. Well, thank you, Susie, so much for joining me and sharing your story with us. And thank you for showing up and listening today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.